The appeal of Donald Trump's presidency is in his determination to be an untraditional president. From his resilience on tweets to unsubstantiated accusations against others, he is certainly behaving as no president has before. But one of his actions stands out above all others: his attacks on journalists. He repeatedly calls them dishonest and, most extraordinarily, enemies of the American people. The writers of the U.S. Constitution gave absolute protection to journalists to hold the government accountable. Not surprisingly, Trump's critics say his attack on the media is an attack on our democracy. Here's Kristen Anzuini.
Thank you, Savannah. In a new era, there may be nothing more frightening than a nation without honesty, a nation which doesn't know the truth. Many fear Trump's attacks on the media is already changing people's perceptions of the role of the free press. Without credibility in the news, they fear there's a definitive threat to democracy.
We are in a rigged system, and a big part of the rigging are these dishonest people in the media.
I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
19 days out from the election, you've been labeled a racist, you've been called a sexist. How do you respond to that?
I am the least racist person you've ever met.
President Donald Trump's new administration has made one agenda clear: his attacks on the media.
I'm not running against crooked Hillary Clinton. I'm running against the crooked media. That's what.
What began during his campaign still continues today, even as he sits in the Oval Office. And some may argue that Donald Trump's approach to the media is unprecedented. According to Vox, Donald Trump's Russia scandal is so much worse than Richard Nixon's Watergate.
The president has alienated virtually the entire news media in the United States. And sad to say, I think we're dealing with a president who has very little understanding and appreciation for the role of a free press to a democracy.
At the Journalism and Mass Communication School at Kent State University, Professor Mark Goodman is more than just an expert on the First Amendment. He teaches it daily to his students. Goodman says what holds the president accountable is the people and the free press.
For that reason, the decision was made to include in our Constitution, not initially, but as an amendment to the Constitution, a provision that explicitly prohibited this new government that was being created from interfering with free speech and free press.
Goodman, who studied the First Amendment for over 25 years, says that even though the press can be discriminated against, Congress cannot create laws limiting its freedoms. However, in the next 4 years, everything could change.
I have no doubt that there will be some effort to try to engage in some restrictions on free expression or press freedom through executive order or through legislative enactment.
And with these attacks could come a threat to our democracy and our First Amendment freedoms. The chief among them, freedom of the press, which is taught every day here at Franklin Hall.
I think that maybe I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Twitter, because I get such a fake press, such a dishonest press.
Tweeting is also a new form of presidential press releases. Our best communication with the president and the language he uses on Twitter is now being copied by his followers. Twitter is where many millennials turn to hear from the president. So we went to where millennials would be, on a college campus in Kent, Ohio, to hear their perceptions of the media.
Well, I think the media, a lot of days now, is because it's going so internet themed. They try to get the best clickbait title. So it doesn't really matter what content they have as long as it sounds good in their mind. It could be totally unrelated to what the article's really about if they have a good title.
Honestly, I think the media is doing a good job because there's a lot of stuff Donald Trump does that doesn't get recognized, and I feel like the media exposes him in some of those points. I mean, there's a lot of underlying racist undertones in a lot of the stuff he does. People don't really see it, especially at his rallies. There's a lot of white supremacist people, stuff like that. So I feel like as an African American, it's really offensive, and I'm glad the media shows that part so everyone can see like how it actually is.
I think there's obviously problems in the media, but I think it's a cornerstone of our democracy. It's something that's essential to a republic, especially an honest media. And it's not beyond criticism, but it's vital to the success of liberty and freedom.
Perhaps what has made this attack on the media scarier than ever before is the rise of social media.
A case of need. How many did that? So we have 2.
Kent State graduate Connie Schultz brings her roots back to the university, where she gives students a unique opportunity to learn from her in the classroom. Among Connie's list of accomplishments sits a Pulitzer Prize at the house she shares with her husband, Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown. Schultz believes the election of Donald Trump has brought about a very different type of administration.
I would say definitely my hate mail has increased since the election of Trump. I think that, it's no secret that I opposed him as president. I don't think I've made any secret in my writing also that I think he's emboldening the worst among us.
Schultz is very active on social media and has become almost famous for it. And it's something that she finds can be a great way to share ideas. But with the good comes the bad, and Connie has seen the best and worst the internet has to offer.
They often use the C word. I'm not referring to Connie. They often express how they wish my mother had aborted me. They go after my family more. I'm no longer, for example, posting face-forward photos of my grandchildren. Most of those have been scrubbed from my site because of some of the hate that was showing up and some of the stuff one of our kids in particular was getting.
New York Times, which is failing, really failing badly, which I call it the failing New York Times. Every story they write is a hit job.
These claims made by the president could be intended to hurt, but we found out they might actually be helping. One news outlet in the midst of this battle is the historic New York Times. Deputy Managing Editor and an Ohio University alum, John Battiger, walks through the halls of the Times knowing that his paper is safe in times of political turmoil.
Our subscriptions are way up. He's been great for the New York Times. He's been good for the news business. He's been good for the Washington Post. He's been good for Vox. He's been good for Vanity Fair. He's been good for Teen Vogue, for God's sakes.
Even though Battiger believes that the president has been good for the business side of the news, he finds it troubling that people are turning their backs on the Fourth Estate. We asked Battiger just how it feels knowing that some people might hate what he does for a living.
It's upsetting. It's very upsetting. I'm not going to pretend that I understand it. I don't know how you can say that a business, reporters, journalists who are trained in simply reporting the news, to throw all kinds of evil accusations against us.
Let me ask you, should I keep the Twitter going or not? Keep it going? I think so.
With the rise of social media, the voiceless now have a voice, and the president has said,
It's a way of bypassing dishonest media, right? We go, wah.
Schultz refutes these claims that Donald Trump won the election by giving people this power.
These are not voiceless people. These are people that should know better and have decided that it's okay now to propagate their hate and harm innocent people around the country.
Some of Schultz's loudest critics are the ones who never expected Trump to be elected.
A lot of Americans are really upset with us right now because Donald Trump got elected. They blame us for giving him too much attention early and not taking him seriously as a candidate. I think that is a legitimate criticism of us.
Some people have turned their backs to the media, and they might just be gone for good.
If somebody believes that a mainstream publication, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, has been around for 150 years, if somebody is going to believe that that is fake news, then you can't change that opinion. But I think that thinking is in a minority.
Even though not much can be done for actual fake news subscribers, Battiger feels the media still owes the public.
We owe the public honest reporting. We need to do our job. We need to try and dig into what's happening in Washington, D.C. and what's happening around the world.
And the public owes the media a chance to tell the truth.
You don't like the way the world is turning, and then you pick on the messenger. That's damned unfortunate. That's not good for a democracy.
True public servants, true patriots know that a thriving press is the way to keep a thriving democracy intact.
These marches in Washington, D.C. are just one of the examples across the nation that describe the climate of this new administration. In the words of Walter Lippmann, where that balance no longer exists, democracy perishes. This battle between the media and the administration is not new to the stage. But in a nation without trust between journalists and the public,
Your organization is attacking our news.
there's almost no nation at all.
Sir, go ahead. Sir, can you state, Mr. President-elect?
So, Kristen, you took the time to interview some older journalists on an older industry, but the attacks that are being made on younger journalists and them trying to make their foot and put their careers into an industry that's being attacked. So, what do you think happens next? What does that mean for them as they're entering into their careers?
That's a good question, Savannah. I think this actually means journalists are going to have to pay more attention to detail, be more accurate. The public is now watching them like a hawk. They have to be very accurate at all times not to get scrutinized. I think even more so, they have to be very creative. They're being kept out of certain events, so they have to still cover those events, and they have to do so creatively. Sorry. So what do you think?
I think that there's going to be a focus put on politics. I think that people who weren't interested in it prior are going to be interested in it now. And I think that the laws against trying to take away freedom of speech will definitely be impacted and looked at more seriously. But thank you so much.